AP will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here from a new permanent GE Studios, one that we're very, very excited about. Here to bring you, though, our Week 8 GE Top 25 rankings. A set of rankings that we bring you every single Monday all year long. No influence from the AP, no influence from the playoff committee. When that rolls around, we think both are terrible. Our own set of rankings strictly from us here at the channel. And there are a lot of shakeups heading into Week 8. And that should be expected, right? Week 7 was fantastic. We saw some great matchups. We saw some big upsets. Granted, a lot of shakeups in the middle of the rankings, I would say, but a handful within the top 10. 4 teams have dropped out of our top 25, which means 4 new teams are in, and we're shaking up for even bigger, wilder Week 8 that features 5 top 25 matchups. We'll have more on those games later this week. But let's go ahead and jump into our GE top 25 rankings heading into Week 8. Let's start in the top 10, where it shouldn't be a surprise that the biggest riser, maybe the biggest mover, is Indiana, all the way up to number 3. We had them at number 6, so we, like many, viewed Indiana as a quality football team, but I'm not sure many people thought Indiana was going to go on the road and beat Oregon, let alone win it by 10 points. So an impressive, amazingly impressive performance by Curt Cignetti's squad. The Hoosiers are for real. You know, I had my doubts. Last year obviously means nothing, but we saw Indiana struggle on the road last year in their biggest games, right? They didn't play well at Ohio State last year. They got killed by them. They got killed by Notre Dame in the playoff. It's like, can they win a true road game against a quality opponent? They didn't just win. They didn't dominate, but it was a coast-to-coast great performance, offensively, defensively, coaching. It was brilliant. So the Hoosiers are a legitimate college football playoff contender. We knew that. They maybe are a legitimate national title contender. The schedule is pretty favorable the rest of the way. Indiana, we have as a top 3 team. They've got some room for error, too. Could still make the college football playoff. They almost feel like a lock at this point, barring any crazy slip-ups. The Hoosiers up to number 3. Miami still remains number 1. I wanted to focus on Indiana. Miami remains number 1. They had a bye week. I still believe they're the best team in the country. Ohio State at number 2 after their big win over number 17 Illinois on the road. You could argue Indiana should be number 2. You could even argue Indiana should be number 1. They killed Illinois, just like Ohio State did. And then they got a really big double-digit road win at Oregon. It was number 3 at the time. But I keep Ohio State up at number 2 right now. That win over Texas, it fluctuates, but obviously looks a little bit better now with that big win over Oklahoma for the Longhorns. Going on the road, beating Illinois, extremely impressive by 18 points. Got to give credit to the Buckeyes, who have just looked dominant from start to finish all year long. So Miami number 1, Ohio State number 2, Indiana at 3, A&M remains at number 4 following their 17-point win over Florida. Alabama got a big road win at Missouri. They're up 2 spots, up to number 5. The Crimson Tide got a big game coming up against Tennessee, but really looking good. Really looking good for Kalen DeBoer's squad. They didn't have that Georgia hangover. They go on the road to beat the Bulldogs. They beat Vandy. They beat Missouri. Last 3 weeks have been kind of close for Alabama, but they're finding ways to win, and that's what good teams do. Alabama at number 5. Texas Tech up 3 spots, following a win over Kansas, 42-17. The Red Raiders are maybe the most dominant team in the country. I mean, have blown out just about everybody they've played. Hasn't even been close. Even if Baron Morton goes down for an extended period of time, the Red Raiders are in great hands with Hammond at quarterback. This is a dangerous team, guys. A true national title contender. I don't know many, if any, teams that could stop Texas Tech. Love them in our top 6 up to number 3. Ole Miss at number 7. Ironically, they move up a spot. I couldn't justify dropping Ole Miss, even though I was disgusted with their performance against Washington State, a 32-point favorite, and the Rebels fortunate to have survived 24-21, only winning by 3. So it was a very sloppy, lethargic performance from Ole Miss, but they were fortunate to beat the Cougars. They move up because of Oregon losing ahead of them. With the Ducks, we have down to number 8, dropping 5 spots following their loss to Indiana. Really couldn't justify moving Ole Miss down, like behind Georgia or behind LSU, who obviously the Rebels beat. But Ole Miss, some still have them at number 4, number 5 in the country. I would not go that high with them right now. Still a top 10 team, absolutely. Still unbeaten, which is very impressive. Big game coming up this week for the Rebels against Georgia. Going to tell us a lot about Lane Kiffin's squad. Speaking of Georgia, they're in at number 9. They beat Auburn in controversial fashion, some would say. 20-10 on the road. I really believe Auburn wins that game if the fumble at the goal line is called a touchdown. I kind of think it was a touchdown. It was very, very close. But if Auburn scores there, it's 17-0 going into halftime. I just don't think Georgia finds a way to win it. Momentum is a huge thing in the world of college football. I don't think Georgia recovers from that. That fumble gave Georgia life. They got that field goal right before half and then ran the rest of the way. 20 unanswered points following that fumble at the goal line. So that was the play of the game, the momentum shifter of the game, and maybe even saved Georgia's season by beating Auburn 20-10 thanks to that fumble. So the Bulldogs up to number 9, up one spot from number 10. LSU cracking into our top 10 after beating South Carolina 20-10. The Tigers have concerns. I'm not thrilled with their offense. I'm not impressed with their offense in the slightest bit. But they're finding ways to win. They've got a big game this weekend against Vanderbilt, though. One where the Commodores, as of this video, are favored to beat LSU. That's going to be an interesting early morning matchup that the Tigers need to be aware of because they've already got a loss. The room for error is very, very small right now. Brian Kelly's got to find a way to win the big games, and we know Vanderbilt really is the real deal. But the Tigers up one spot to number 10. Going to see some shakeups in the top 10 by next week, though. I can guarantee you that. All right, heading into 11 through 20. Georgia Tech up a spot to number 11. They cruise past Virginia Tech 35-20. Trap game for the Yellow Jackets this weekend against Duke. Could see Georgia Tech propel into our top 10 if they beat Duke. Some teams ahead of them are going to lose, I believe, in week 8. So Georgia Tech, still one of the best teams in the entire country, still a playoff contender, still one of the best teams in the ACC, which is just really wide open with the exception of them and Miami. Tennessee is up to a spot to number 12 after their narrow win over Arkansas. Fortunate, I think, to win that game. Arkansas battled back down 17, made it a close game in the final minutes. If Arkansas could just learn to hold on to the football, the Razorbacks might be where Tennessee is right now. Arkansas could very well be a undefeated, maybe one-loss team right now if they could just hold on to the ball. 3 very costly fumbles ended up costing Arkansas that game, who played very well. Tennessee, again, I wasn't overly impressed with their performance. They've got a big game this Saturday against Alabama. So the Volunteers up to number 12. Will they stay there if they can pull off the upset? That's what we're going to be talking about later this week. So third Saturday in October, Vols and Crimson Tide. Oklahoma down 8 spots. Horrible performance against Texas. I think Brent Venables made a terrible mistake by playing John Mateer. Michael Hawkins has proven he was capable, started some games last year, started when Mateer was out. I know it was against Kent State, but still, he was more than capable of, I think, leading this offense. I think they rushed him back. I don't think he should have played. Texas deserves all the credit in the world for the defense they did and the special teams plays. I mean, Texas deserved to win that game, but I think it could have looked a lot different. Maybe Oklahoma could have won if they didn't start John Mateer. I just don't think that was a good call. So the Sooners really struggled 23-6 in the Red River Showdown. They're down 8 spots to number 13. Tough schedule ahead for the Sooners, who looked like a potential playoff team. But again, that margin for error now significantly smaller. And they've got to figure out their offensive woes as well. Virginia is up a spot at number 14. Some say too high. I don't think so. Love their resume. Love what they're doing. Love this offense. They were on a bye. They get the benefit from the teams losing ahead of them. Notre Dame up 5 spots. Not because they destroyed NC State. That goes a long way. But it's how Notre Dame's playing. It's the teams that lost ahead of them. Michigan was ahead of Notre Dame. They lost. Illinois was ahead of them. They lost. So they're benefiting from teams that did lose. And then again, just how the eye test, how great Notre Dame is playing. Started 0-2. They've won 4 straight. They've dominated every game after that, winning those 4 games by an average of nearly 30 points per game. Notre Dame has turned the corner. I know the strength of schedule hasn't been phenomenal. I know it hasn't been great. We're going to really see what this team's made of this weekend when they play USC. It's going to tell us a lot about the Fighting Irish. But I love what they're doing. They're taking care of business the way they should. And those margins of victory, the way Notre Dame is playing, what they're doing is going to help them when it comes to college football playoff time if they continue to win. If these games were all close, we'd have reservations, right? But the fact they're winning in such dominant fashion shows that Notre Dame has the talent we thought they did. And again, their 2 losses so far this year are by 4 combined points to the teams we have ranked at number 1 and number 4. So this is still a very good football team up to number 15. BYU survived a 2-overtime thriller against Arizona. They're up to number 16. They got the Holy War this week against Utah. Going to be a fun one. We'll talk more on that later in the week. Vanderbilt up 2 spots after a bye week, again benefiting from teams that lost ahead of them. They're number 17. They take on LSU, as we mentioned, on Saturday morning. USC One of the teams that was unranked but now joins the rankings following their dominant win over Michigan. Beat the 15th ranked Wolverines 31-13. Just torched that Michigan defense. And again, you look at Michigan, I'm going to tell you right now, they fell out for us. We had Michigan ranked 14th. They are no longer ranked. The Wolverines have not really beat anyone of substance, maybe outside of Nebraska. Their two biggest games, both of which came on the road against Oklahoma and USC, they've looked horrible. They've looked terrible. Haven't really been competitive. The offense struggled. The defense struggled. So Michigan still has a lot to work on. Don't really have a resume to me worthy of being top 25. USC, though, going from the unranked, who we had just on the outside looking in, all the way up to number 18. This is the real deal. And again, we'll learn a lot more about them when they play in South Bend this Saturday. Missouri down 3 after their narrow loss to Alabama, only losing that game 27-24. Gave them all they could. And then USF into our top 20. Following a big win at North Texas. I picked North Texas to win that game. Bit of an upset. Great crowd, undefeated, Mean Green, great offense. North Texas got off to that great start, and they just couldn't take care of the football. The Bulls made them pay for it. Won 63-36 on the road. USF is the real deal, guys, and very well could be that Group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch over the next couple of weeks in the American Conference, see who comes out of that and maybe ends up getting that playoff spot. The Bulls look good on both sides of the ball. Into our final 5 here, Utah, Texas, Nebraska, all joining our top 25. Utah killing number 21 Arizona State. I know it was without Sam Leavitt, but still, beating a top 25 team by 32 points. Yeah, you don't have your quarterback. I know it hurts. It's frustrating. You got, 10 other players on offense. You got 11 other players on defense. They could not stop Utah, who's still a very, very good team. It's going to make for a very fun race in the Big 12. Look at the Big 12 right now. You got Texas Tech maybe as the front runner, but BYU's in there. Utah's in there. Cincinnati, we have ranked, is in there. Going to be a very fun race to the finish line here. But the Utes up to number 21. Texas in at number 22 following their win over Oklahoma. Some say it should be ranked a little bit higher. We had Texas ranked, 28th, 29th last week. So they still move up about, 7, 8 spots for us coming into this week. So I feel like it's a fair jump for the Longhorns, who did suffer that bad loss at Florida. But regardless, a great bounce back for Steve Sarkisian's squad, keeping all of their hopes, their playoff hopes and everything still alive, at least for another week. Cincinnati down a spot just because of what Utah and Texas did. The Bearcats did nothing wrong. Didn't look great against UCF, only winning 20-11, but got the job done, still keeping their hopes alive. But because of the more impressive victories from Utah and Texas, they get knocked down just one spot. Memphis up a spot after their bye week, number 24. USF and Memphis do play each other later in the year. Watch out for that. Could really determine who goes to the college football playoff out of the American. And then Nebraska, we mentioned. I actually agree with the AP poll with this. The Cornhuskers were kind of around the outside looking in for us. They played good ball. They're only lost by 3 to Michigan. Beat Maryland 34-31, getting by the skin of their teeth, but still finding ways to win. Matt Rule, we said year 3, typically a breakout year for him. Right now, looking to be the case. The Cornhuskers are ranked. They are, 5-1? One win away from bowl eligibility, but we obviously know the Cornhuskers want more. So, that's our top 25, guys. Week 8, we've got a big weekend coming up. Michigan, Illinois, Arizona State, Iowa State, all dropping out of our top 25. As we mentioned, USC, Utah, Texas, Nebraska joining. We will see some new teams join next week. We will see some massive shakeups, I think, in the top 10. We have five massive ranked versus ranked matchups that are going to greatly shape these rankings, that are going to greatly shape conference races, and going to greatly shape the college football playoff race. It's a huge, huge weekend of college football. We're going to have you covered every step of the way. We're going to have full, in-depth predictions for all 5 of those ranked versus ranked matchups. As we mentioned, we're going to be back here next Monday to recap that with our Week 9 Top 25. All the coverage coming your way right here at the Gridiron Expert over this next week, and what is shaping up to be a fantastic weekend of college football as we enter the back half of the season. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com. It's home to those expert picks. Again, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. Check it out. Again, the link down in the description below over on thegridironexpert.com. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.